Yo, welcome back to the channel. Actually, for majority of you, it's welcome to the channel. And for some of you, it's welcome back. Reason being is that I've done videos like these a very long time ago, and that was on a different channel. So welcome to the Kizashi Wellness. Alright, so today we're going to talk about something very specific, something very simple, and that is different types of liquid herbal preparations. Now, liquid herbal preparations have been around for hundreds of years and have been providing benefits biologically, physiologically, and psychologically. Many people look at these herbals and they get confused about the different types, which is totally understandable as they are special in their own kind of way. Today we're going to look at glycerids, essential oils, liquid extracts, also known as tinctures, ottos, hydrosols, and absolutes. To keep uniformity, we're going to stick with one flora, and I'm going to choose, drum roll please, rose petals. Yes, rose petals. Very simple, beautiful looking petal, smells pretty good, tastes pretty gross, but that's what we're going to use today as our example. All right, before we dive into all this, I want to preface this by saying that all of these preparations are using a solvent. This comes from the Latin word solvo. I probably said that wrong. Don't flame me for it. Sorry. Which translates roughly to untie. Unfortunately, the word solvent has a bad connotation tied towards it. No pun intended at all. It's usually seen as a negative word, but honestly, a solvent is simply one substance that can dissolve another substance. Done. Let's start with a tincture. In the simplest, we call this particular liquid extract an alcohol extract. An alcohol extract. In chemistry, it has the same definition as a solution that has ethanol as a solvent. As you can tell, the herb is dissolved by the solvent alcohol, but also containing another solvent, water. Alcohol and water are commonly found in a tincture simply because they extract different constituents. Considering there's water in the mix, alcohol does a really good job playing the role as antimicrobial preservative. Very, very important thing to keep in mind. Next up, we have the glycerids. Now, these here are liquid extracts that use vegetable glycerin, or maybe animal glycerin too, as a solvent. Just like a tincture, every herb can be benefited as a glycerin. The main difference here is that you have an extract completely free of the bitter taste of alcohol. Vegetable glycerin, better known as glycerol, is a clear, odorless, viscous, sweet liquid known as a polyol. Though you lose the long shelf life that alcohol provides, you gain a much more tolerable taste, and this is something that even children can benefit from. On top of that, glycerin is well known for its topical applications, as is a hydroscopic fluid. So these tinctures, such as like this one here, can be used topically on the skin. A rose glycerin can be used internally to soothe a sore throat. A rose tincture can be used internally to heal an achy heart, such as what you would find in a flower essence, and topically to rebalance inflamed skin. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. Next up, we have essential oils. An essential oil is a volatile, highly aromatic, and concentrated hydrophobic liquid that is a product of steam distillation of a plant and plant material. Volatile, meaning a number of constituents will evaporate rapidly. Aromatic, meaning you can smell the fragrance aroma with ease. Hydrophobic, meaning there's no water content found in an essential oil. All that is water soluble will be collected in what's known as a hydrosol, which is found in the process of making essential oil, and that one we'll talk about later on. When we look at essential oil, its name comes from the fact that in this oil it contains the essence of a plant's fragrance. In the case of the rose petal, you'll eventually bump into what's known as a rose otto. It goes by a few names, also attar, and the above mentioned essence. For the case of rose petals and other delicate flowers such as jasmine, lang lang, violet, and vanilla, we have absolute preparations. Not only are these plants fragile, but potentially can't handle the process of steam distillation without degrading, or the aromatic constituents won't be as available as possible this way. With an absolute, the plant matter is mixed with a solvent that won't affect the fragrant properties much, such as hexane or ethanol. After exposure to the solvent, the plant material is filtered out of the mixture and the solvent is distilled for removal. This leaves behind a semi-solid waxy mass called concrete. Now, concrete is all the fragrant essential oil, compounds, waxes, resins, and other fat-soluble compounds left behind from the fresh plant in the beginning. At this point, one can actually even use concrete for soap making. So if you ever want to make soaps, you know, find someone who makes absolutes and use the concrete, boom, there you go. You can make soaps with it and it's going to smell great. Excellent. Rose, jasmine, sorry. Now, concrete is only partially soluble in ethanol because of its waxes, which is non-volatile by nature. So it gets processed once more by ethanol. At this point, it gets vacuum distilled once again to remove the majority of the solvents and leaving behind pure absolute. Absolutes of these delicate flowers are used a lot more commonly than their essential oil counterparts, you know, the ottos, because of a few reasons. One, they are a lot less expensive than ottos, and two, they have a much more pronounced fragrance going on for them. Get a rose otto and a rose absolute and take a sniff for yourself. You'll see what I'm talking about. Earlier, when I was discussing essential oils, I brought up a hydrosol. Hydrosols, also known commonly as flower water, are a byproduct of the essential oil making process. However, do you have some companies that specifically make their hydrosols? So they're not making essential oils, they're making hydrosols. And I guess they use essential oils for other things too. I don't know, I can't verify that. Now, during the distillation process to yield essential oil, after the steam breaks through the cells in whatever plant is being distilled, the vapor is cooled and thus condensed. If you put oil and water together, what happens? Oil will flow on top and the water stays below. You know, just common stuff. This in a nutshell is what's happening during the process we described above. However, the water in this case is a hydrosol, is containing, obviously, the water soluble constituents from the plant material with a very, very, very small amount of the essential oil as well. While the steaming process is nice and hot, and in the case of our plant, our flora, rose, its water will be relatively acidic. That's a good thing, as that makes I don't want to say it this way, but a slightly sterile product. But at the same time, again, we're talking water. You gotta understand that hydrosol will go bad much faster than essential oil will. So I like to say, hey, keep it somewhere cool, use it. You can consume it as well. You actually put it in your food. I have used my hydrosols, my tulsi hydrosols, for example, in my cooking, and it's perfectly fine, perfectly safe. Rose, lavender waters, people can use that. So, you know, just keep it somewhere cool and out of the direct sunlight, just to keep it preserved a lot longer. And they smell great. The thing about hydrosol as well is that you have the scent, the fragrance of that plant. It's not that many aromatic compounds in there, but you know, you do get the very slight hint of a fragrance, and it's different, but it's nice. That blended with the essential oil makes up the best parts of that plant, minus the cellulose. So there you go. Now you're armed with the knowledge of the differences of these liquid preparations. Take it, run with it, and I'll see you back here for the next video.